Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. You know, I thought since technology has improved over the last several years that I thought it would be fun to do a video that was a little different. You guys know Bearable Guy. I know you all know Bearable Guy. He's the fun jester and not a financial advisor. If you go to his Twitter X profile, you guys can see that he does have the Loadstars all linked here. So I thought, we went over these Loadstars when they came out years and years and years ago. I had them all up here on his Rippled Reddit, and I'm going to link all these in the description of the video. But guys, I thought I would take it one step further, and now that we have AI technology, I thought it would be fun to take each and every Lodestar and throw it into Grok and see if Grok can decipher anything else. The other thing I was interested in is, if there is anything that AI can glean from these that we can now in the context of 2025 take away from these Bearable Guy Lodestar riddles that were from way back, I think 2018, 2019, and 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So guys, I guess let's get right into it. So, okay, here's how I phrased it. Okay, hey Grok, can you decipher this cryptic message in layman's terms? And then I quoted the message, I quoted the entire Lodestar, and I did one at a time. So this is Lodestar 1. According to Grok, this cryptic message is a passionate, somewhat poetic endorsement of Ripple and its cryptocurrency XRP, written in a dramatic, almost prophetic tone. So I think that definitely comes through from the Bearable Guy. When you read the Bearable Guy Lodestar 1, it reflects the perspective of an XRP enthusiast who believes Ripple is revolutionizing global finance, particularly cross-border payments, and overcoming opposition from the traditional financial systems and rival cryptocurrencies. Now, I'm going to interject a little bit throughout this. We got to remember the context of this. If you guys are new to the space, this was from 2018. So a lot was very different back then. We did have inclinations that Ripple was going to be number one in the financial system, but a lot of this came through Bearable Guy riddles and the partnerships. We decided to connect dots. We decided to decode riddles, and here in 2025, guys, look where we ended up. Exactly where we thought we would back in 2018. So it goes on to say the cryptosphere in chaos. The message describes turmoil in the cryptocurrency markets, shaking of the cryptosphere, or the gnashing of the teeth. With many cryptocurrencies struggling, despite this, XRP and its supporters remain resilient and optimistic. Ripple versus the establishment, or the PTB, the powers that be, likely referring to the traditional financial institutions or regulators. And the king, possibly a metaphor for the central authority, are portrayed as opposing Ripple's progress. So Grok is right on top of decoding this in a way that makes sense and in a way that is accurate. These entities are said to create obstacles for Ripple, but XRP continues to thrive. Ripple's unique approach, unlike other cryptocurrencies that reject traditional financial systems, so the UN, central banks, and the IMF, Ripple works within these systems, offering XRP as a solution for cross-border payments. The message suggests that other coins tried to bypass regulations and failed, while Ripple's strategy of collaboration makes it more practical and successful. Critics and misinformation. Early on, critics dismissed XRP as a fake centralized banker corporate coin, but Ripple's persistence and growing adoption have proven them wrong. The message claims other cryptocurrencies lack Ripple's robust team and vision, making them their attempts to complete fleeting 9 days wonder? Okay, I don't understand that. What about the significance of 589? Okay, the number 589 is a symbolic or coded reference in the XRP community, possibly tied to price predictions, a COMEX rule related to commodities trading or Nostro-Vostro accounts, banking mechanisms for international transactions. Guys, I did a whole video on the number 589, and I will link it up here if you guys want to see what that's all about. It represents hope and potential for XRP's future through regulatory uncertainty. And it's holding its a regulatory uncertainty is holding back its price. So Bearable Guy still does think, I think he thinks that XRP could go to 589 one day. So Ripple's challenge to SWIFT. The message highlights Ripple's ambition to replace SWIFT, the traditional system for international money transfers. Key events from 2018 are cited. So November 13th, 2018, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse boldly claimed that Ripple was taking over SWIFT. On December 9th, The Guardian published an article about Ripple's push to overhaul cross-border payments. And in December of 2018, SWIFT CEO announced his resignation, which the message interprets as a sign of Ripple's growing dominance. Now, community and positivity. The author encourages XRP supporters to stay positive and spread the word about Ripple's potential. They emphasize Ripple's consistent presence in financial news and its leadership in the industry, contrasting it with other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. And you got to remember too, guys, again, this was 2018 when the XRP community was much smaller. And so, the fact that we have the inklings, the starting of a company becoming a behemoth. You got to remember Ripple 2 was still just focused on cross-border payments at this time, on remittances. Then there's number 8, rejection and tribalism, or rejection of tribalism, referencing Ripple executives Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, and others. The message calls for unity and dismisses tribalism in the crypto space. It acknowledges that some other cryptocurrencies have valid purposes, but criticizes those that are fraudulent or overly centralized, controlled by a few mining groups or government like China. Call to action, guys. The author urges supporters to maintain, or rather to remain steadfast, ignore naysayers, keep the faith in Ripple's mission, and transform global finance. So you got to remember this was before a time when the lawsuit was even around, and yet price was going down. We were in a bear market in 2018. I remember this time like it was yesterday, and I've learned a lot since then. I guess I should just quickly mention the Patreon. Right now, if you guys want to join, it is only $5 a month. You can find me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. They say here, okay, the hint at significant, or rather they hint at significant developments expected in 2019, particularly around regulations, and express optimism about XRP's future. We could not have known about the beer flu hitting, though, at that point. Personal note, the author wants to thank the community, wishes them well, and suggests they face challenges, matters, and a hand trying to stop them, but remain committed to spreading the message. In essence, the message is a rally cry for XRP supporters, portraying Ripple as a visionary company overcoming resistance to lead the future of finance. It uses dramatic imagery and insider references like 589 to inspire confidence and unity among XRP holders while dismissing competitors and critics. So pretty straightforward. I mean, 2018 was a long time ago. And so, guys, now we have Loadstar 2. Okay, and when I asked Grok the same thing, we got a little more. All right, let's break down this cryptic message into plain English as if we're chatting over coffee. The message is written in a colorful, metaphorical style, likely by someone who goes by Bearable Guy, a figure known in some crypto circles for dropping hints and predicting about Ripple and XRP, the cryptocurrency. It's full of riddles, references to past events, and a bit of a cheerleading for Ripple's role in transforming finance. I'll explain what it all seems to be saying and then goes into it, okay? Overview of the message. So let's start with that. The author, calling himself Bearable Guy, is hyping up Ripple's long-term strategy and its cryptocurrency XRP, claiming that big things are happening behind the scenes. They suggest that Ripple has been laying the groundwork for years, and it's now paying off in many ways. They're going to shake up the financial system. The message uses metaphors like seeds sprouting and crossing the Rubicon. So guys, let me just stop it there for a second. Seeds sprouting, crossing the Rubicon. So we know that seeds sprouting has been a major theme in Bearable Guy's riddles. There's, of course, his Twitter X banner. And there was also this riddle from a few years ago. Bearable Guy watering the sunflower, right? You guys all remember this one? Crossing the Rubicon too. That is probably a nexus point, a very critical point in Ripple's history of being a company. Okay, and this emphasizes that Ripple's efforts are coming to fruition and challenging the old financial system, the kingdom, likely referring to traditional banks and systems like SWIFT. It also references a key meeting at the Bank for International Settlements. Okay, that 2019 meeting. And then the guys, they talk about partnerships like MoneyGram and Walmart. We know MoneyGram fell through eventually, but the tone is encouraging, but deliberately vague, as Bearable Guy usually is, urging readers to do their own research and stay patient. But guys, some of the key points: plans within plans. The author says Ripple has been quietly working on something big for years, and now it's starting to show results. So the seeds are sprouting and bearing colorful fruit. In simple terms, this likely refers to Ripple's efforts to get its blockchain technology and XRP adoption by major financial institutions like banks and payment processors to modernize how money moves globally. The plans within plans suggest that Ripple has layered strategy, or a layered strategy, maybe working with central banks, partnering with companies, and pushing for regulatory changes, all to position XRP as a major key player in global finance. Then they talk about the MoneyGram and Walmart partnership, which I guess I can just breeze over. We know that did dissolve when the beer flu did hit. They partnered with MoneyGram in June of 2019, right around the time mentioned in the message. MoneyGram used Ripple's on-demand liquidity product, and there was a connection. I think they were using it within Walmart. Then there was the BIS meeting, yes, that infamous BIS meeting, on May the 14th, 2019, as a pivotal moment when Ripple crossed the Rubicon, a point of no return, implying a bold move against the old financial system. The BIS, often called the central bank of central banks, is a key institution for global financial coordination. And the author claims this meeting involved discussions about crypto assets with Brad Garlinghouse present alongside Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF at the time. And that it shook up the old kingdom, traditional financial powers. They mentioned the king, who is not AC, probably a cryptic reference to a central banker who is not AC, being upset, and Mizaru, one of the three wise monkeys who sees no evil, being kicked out, suggesting old ways of ignoring crypto were dismissed. So that's a new decode. Reality check, there's no public record of a specific BIS meeting. Yeah, well, I think there was actually. Bearable Guy did post that. Ripple was engaged with global financial bodies at that time, so it looks like Grok didn't pick up on this. Although we know about it, I remember reporting on it specifically on my channel. So it begins, and the January 24th, 2019 post. The author references the post title, So It Begins, from January 24th, 2019, hinting at talks and rumblings about this BIS meeting. This could be a Reddit or Twitter post by Bearable Guy, who's known for such cryptic predictions. The three mountains with messages is unclear, but might symbolize major milestones or announcements, perhaps regulatory, technical, or partnership related, that were obvious in hindsight. In plain terms, though, they're saying Ripple's influence was showing, and insiders at the BIS were starting to take crypto seriously, finally. So guys, interesting to see now that we know how Ripple is shaping up in 2025. These major milestones didn't seem like much at the time, but now, guys, we have so much more adoption on the table post-lawsuit, and Ripple buying up major companies, Hidden Road, Medico, and was the most recent one, Rail. I just recently did a video on that one. I will link it up here if you guys didn't catch it. And then there's June 2019, and the banks were scrambling. The message claims that exactly 1 month and 3 days after the BIS meeting, something happened that got banks and institutions rushing to talk about Ripple. This aligns with Ripple's announcement of the MoneyGram partnership. What about the 123? This could be a playful way to emphasize this timeline, or a nod to the reoccurring theme in the author's clues. This suggests that MoneyGram, that deal was a direct outcome of Ripple's growing credibility, possibly tied to discussions with the BIS. Then we have some questions posed by the author. Okay, who gave the okay for crypto asset discussion, likely referring to high-profile figures, maybe Lagarde or the BIS, who pushed for central banks to take crypto seriously? What news shook the old kingdom? Possibly rumors of Ripple's tech, like ODL or the XRP ledger, being considered for CBDCs, or payments threatening traditional systems like SWIFT? When will central banks act to avoid being outdone? Implies central banks might adopt crypto solutions like XRP to stay competitive. And as we know now, more central banks are saying they are going to be using it. This is years later, of course. Where was SWIFT's presentation? This suggests that SWIFT, the traditional global payment system, was absent or outshined by Ripple in that BIS meeting. And guys, remember, Brad Garlinghouse did hint that by 2030, 14% of Swift's business is going to go to Ripple. If you guys didn't catch the video I did on that, I will link it up here. So what else is there? Why was Brad Garlinghouse there? Implies that he was invited as a key player representing Ripple's growing influence. What happened on June the 17th? As noted, like the MoneyGram deal announcement, these questions are meant to make readers dig into Ripple's role into challenging the status quo, but they're vague and lack concrete evidence. But then we have the numbers 1, 2, 3 and the bear going to the moon is classic crypto lingo, suggesting XRP's price or adoption will skyrocket. And guys, here's where we're at today. The author admits some clues are unsolved and teases that they're significant, but mostly it's motivational hype. Warning against weak hands. That is the other thing. Also, there are imposters. The author urges XRP holders not to sell, avoid weak hands despite market volatility or negative voices. They claim to be the sole Bearable Guy post. Bearable Guy, posting only on specific platforms, and warns against fake accounts. Guys, there is a paradigm shift coming, and I think we know about that too. So what's the bigger picture? Ripple has been working for years to get central banks and big companies to use the technology. The 2019 BIS meeting was a turning point where Ripple showed it could challenge traditional finance, with Brad Garlinghouse playing a key role. The MoneyGram deal, of course, that was pivotal. Even though it has dissolved today, it was pivotal at the time. Guys, it proved Ripple's tech did work, making banks take notice. And the author believes Ripple is reshaping global finance, and XRP holders should stay patient because big things are coming, even if the details are murky. And guys, I will link all this in the description of the video for you. And then, of course, guys, there is Loadstar number 3. Let's get into it. This cryptic message attributed to Bearable Guy, a synonymous figure known for posting enigmatic content about cryptocurrencies, particularly XRP, is written in a dramatic, almost prophetic tone. It's a mix of enthusiasm for XRP, the cryptocurrency associated with Ripple, criticism of traditional financial systems, and vague references to global financial shifts. Below, I'll break it down in layman's terms, focusing on key points to avoid speculation beyond what's explicitly stated. The author believes that XRP, created by Ripple, is poised to become the central cryptocurrency powering the global financial system. They argue it will replace outdated, oppressive financial structures that have caused widespread debt and suffering. The message suggests that powerful institutions and figures are either supporting or resisting this change, but XRP's rise is inevitable due to its backing by major players and its strategic positioning. So some key points, guys. XRP's importance. The author claims XRP is uniquely positioned to become the backbone of global finance, describing it as the crypto asset that will fuel the financial engine of this planet. Now, remember, if this was written in 2019, there are only a few people that would have known this. And this goes back to me presuming Bearable Guy is somebody who is working within Ripple. I think that, probably some of those 1,700 NDAs that we still don't know about were happening at this time because don't forget, this was before the beer flu. This was before Gary Gensler. This was before the whole debacle with the SEC lawsuit. Ripple was ready to go early on, and even Brad Garlinghouse, has come out and said that. So they will see XRP as a tool to liberate people from a flawed financial system that traps them in the chains of debt, doubt, and despair. Ripple, the company behind XRP, is portraying this as revolutionary force opposing traditional financial powers. Then we got the criticism of traditional finance. Okay, the money system is described as oppressive, keeping people in poverty for centuries. The king, so going back to the king is likely a metaphor for powerful financial institutions or regulators, and their allies, disheveled cohorts, are losing influence and struggling to maintain control. The author suggests these powers are aware of XRP's potential and are threatened by it, causing them to resist change. So this is, first when we had, those inclinations that these companies realized that that change was knocking on the door. And they were, at that time, some of them were resistant. The message implies that major economies like the US, UK back XRP, giving it legitimacy over other cryptos. Bitcoin is dismissed as too unpredictable and controlled by large entities, making it unsuitable for global adoption. Other corporate banking coins are also rejected as they lack the credibility or support that XRP has. Now, guys, a lot has changed since then. Again, we do have, some of the ISO 20022 cryptocurrencies that are now making waves. Even projects like Solana and Ethereum have gained traction. The reference to Lagarde, right? Christine Lagarde, former IMF chief and ECB president, current ECB president, suggests she's advocating for XRP's role in global finance. Her move from the IMF to the ECB is portrayed as strategic, giving her influence to push for XRP as a catalyst for financial reform. The one crypto asset that cannot be named is likely XRP, with the cryptic phrasing added, adding to the dramatic tone. And so Ripple's strategic positioning, okay, Ripple's office is in Washington, D.C., and it's highlighted as evidence of its close ties to political and regulatory powers. So there are obviously reasons why they set up shop there. The mention of the BIS, Bank for International Settlements, hiring Benoit Cœuré, suggests global financial institutions are aligning with Ripple's vision. The author also claims Ripple is 589 steps ahead of regulators in opposition, implying it's well prepared to navigate these challenges. And what about the powers that be? The PTB refers to the shadowy elites or powerful supergroups controlling global finance. The author accuses them of hoarding wealth and keeping the masses in poverty. These groups also use coded language, so words and phrases as cues, and they use those to execute secret plans, but the internet and blockchain are empowering people to resist. And guys, I have a feeling that, remember, this was before the beer flu. I do have a feeling that was a test in some ways to see how a cashless society would work. Remember when they were telling us that we shouldn't use cash because we could catch the beer flu? Oh boy. Blockchain and XRP is a revolution, okay? Blockchain technology, particularly XRP, is seen as a game changer that will end the control of unseen hands in dark rooms, so basically keeping everything transparent. XRP is described as a spark plug, driving a bulldozer of change, breaking down barriers in the financial system. Unlike other cryptocurrencies, XRP is portrayed as reliable and verifiable, making it the preferred choice for global finance. And then there's optimism in the call to action. The author is excited about living in a time of transformation and encourages readers to seize the opportunity to invest in XRP. So Bearable Guy, even at that time, 2019, saying it's a good time to buy. They frame XRP as a chance for ordinary people to benefit from the shifting financial landscape, wishing readers a wonderful Christmas and a prosperous future. Then it goes over some of those things, but the layman's summary: the message is a passionate crypto pitch for XRP, claiming it will revolutionize global finance by replacing a corrupt, debt-driven system. The author believes Ripple and XRP have the support of major economies and institutions, positioning them to succeed where other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin fail. I mean, I want to just point this out too: the fact that I don't think when we were originally going over these Loadstars, I feel like there were a lot of, or rather, we really didn't play up the fact that Bearable Guy was saying there are global financial institutions backing Ripple and XRP, even at that time. So I think that was important. And I do remember when Ripple was, or when Brad Garlinghouse was at that BIS meeting in May of 2019, how that was such a big deal. And Bearable Guy actually posted a post about that at that time. And he was hinting at it before it even happened. So interesting. They see this as an historic moment where ordinary people can benefit from a new financial era, but they warn that the powerful elites are resisting the change. Despite the enthusiastic tone, the message is speculative and includes disclaimers, etc., etc. So those were the 3 Loadstars. And now, guys, I figured I'd ask Grok this. Now, Grok, using your interpretations of Bearable Guy's Loadstar messages as reference, can you decipher this image? And I uploaded this particular image there. Of course, if you guys are not looking at the screen, you probably should be, but if you're not, it is the latest Bearable Guy riddle. The horses going towards the castle down the 3 pathways, the gold, the purple, and the green. Of course, we got the ship in the background, the king really upset, hiding behind a tree. Bearable Guy dressed as a cowboy, Brad Garlinghouse the knight with the crown at his side. And guys, here's what Grok had to say. Based on the interpretations of Bearable Guy's Loadstar messages, this image appears to be a symbolic representation of the themes and narratives present in those cryptic texts, particularly the passionate endorsement of Ripple and XRP as a revolutionary force in global finance. Now, again, this is Grok's interpretation. The king, or rather the knight on the unicorn. The central figure, a knight, wielding a glowing sword and riding a unicorn, likely symbolizes Ripple itself, strong, visionary, and ahead of its time. The 589 steps ahead reference, the unicorn, a mythical and powerful creature, could represent XRP's unique potential to transform the financial landscape, distinct from other cryptocurrencies. The cowboy and companion, the cowboy with the star hat, possibly Bearable Guy. Well, it's definitely Bearable Guy for an XRP enthusiast riding alongside with a stack of books, knowledge, and wealth. Suggests the community's role in spreading the message and supporting Ripple's mission. The figure in the background might represent a supporter or ally, but no, that is the king. So Grok is getting a little confused there. The ships with colorful sails, the ship in the background with a vibrant purple, yellow, and green sail could symbolize Ripple's innovative approach to cross-border payments, navigating through the chaotic cryptosphere, which we can actually decipher from the actual ship riddle, getting through the storm, right? Sun shining through the clouds. So good on Grok for figuring that out. The colors might hint at the diversity of its global partnerships. Don't think that's what it means, but okay, we'll let him have it. The castle and path. The castle at the end of the purple path likely represents the traditional financial system, which Ripple aims to challenge or replace. The winding yellow and purple paths could signify the journey towards this transformation, with regulatory hurdles and opposition along the way. The landscape in the sun. The bright sun and lush scenery suggests optimism and the dawn of a new financial era, aligning with the message's hopeful tone about the paradigm shift and liberation from oppressive systems. So this image encapsulates the dramatic, prophetic tone of Bearable Guy's writings, blended fantasy with the real-world ambition of Ripple and XRP to revolutionize finance, overcome resistance, and lead global support. So I gotta say, guys, in a lot of ways, I think Grok is right on point here. We are nearing the end of the journey. And, I wanted to also bring this up from Professor Ripple Effect. He noticed something quite interesting from the National Maritime Museum. Okay, this is going back to another riddle, okay, one of the Christmas riddles with this contraption down in here. Okay, and the recycling of cryptocurrencies. He's almost certain that it represents something that has to do with Greenpeace. And I'm going to explain in a second. The same binnacle shape appears, but instead of a compass, it has a recycling symbol on it. Guys, he saw this on a website. Doesn't that look oddly similar to this from the Bearable Guy riddle? I believe this was 2021. So he says the same binnacle shape appears, but instead of a compass, it has a recycling symbol. Okay, now the binnacle from the museum comes from a Greenpeace ship. Why would Bearable Guy place a recycling sign on a binnacle that resembles that of an 80s Greenpeace ship? Greenpeace recycling. let's look into it further. And as you guys can see here, Greenpeace loves to recycle. We do know about that. They are an environmental institution. So I also wanted to thank Professor Ripple Effect here for bringing that to our attention. Just figure I'd add this in, considering it does relate to Bearable Guy. So what do you guys think? How close are we getting? And guys, how correct was Bearable Guy over the years? I still think he's an insider with the inside scoop. And guys, I think he knows that XRP price is going to soar over the long term. How long is that going to take? And will it start right away, guys? You can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel for my insight on this particular bull run. I'm not leaving anything to chance. I will be cashing out some of my cryptocurrency, but I am going to be holding some XRP for the long term. So if you guys want to see where I'm going to be cashing out, even just for sake of interest, this is just my crypto journey. Basically, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just showing you guys what I'm doing. Patreon.com/workingmoneychannel, and I've rolled back prices to $5 a month, but you need to subscribe and stay subscribed to lock in. And until the end of the month, I'm offering 15% off at the Working Money Channel merch store. Check it out, guys. You can find all kinds of Working Money Channel merch. You can get 15% off, maybe a Bearable Guy t-shirt if you're interested. Comes in all different shapes and colors. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.